Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
Macular degeneration.
Okay.
And where is it? Where has it been? Where is it going? People who have, if you or a loved one has macular degeneration, you know three things. You know that you're taking an AREDS 2 formula. The NIH did a major study. They came up with AREDS 1 back in 1990 something, and they found out that formula was causing an increased risk of lung cancer in smokers. So they came out in 2006 with AREDS 2, which has 6 things in it. And then in 2009, some of the same researchers did what's called the WAFAC study, which is Women's Antioxidant Folic Acid Cardiovascular Study. And their intention there was to look at this factor in the blood called homocysteine, and they were saying if you reduce the homocysteine with these B vitamins, does it help the heart? 5,000 women, $50 million, Harvard-based.
Where do you get these ARED things that cause this?
Everyone, you see them. Oh, no. It's a vitamin. Everyone knows Preservision and Ocuvite.
okay.
It's a formula with 6 things. And I'm not going to go cite all the 6 things because we'll be wasting our time on that. But there's 6 things in there. The interesting thing is the same researchers who did the AREDS 2, some of the same researchers, did the WAFAC study with some 3 B vitamins, 6, 9, and 12. And they concluded that it didn't help. Reducing homocysteine didn't help the heart, the cardiovascular status, but it did help all the microcirculation. And the eye is full of microcirculation. There's no organ that has more small blood vessels than the eye.
Really?
And as we know, the eye is brain. And what you do to help the eye, you help the brain and vice versa. So the WAFAC study, since there was some of these people who did this research on the AREDS 2, they concluded, holy cow, this helps macular degeneration better than AREDS 2. But I guarantee you, 0.01% of eye doctors even know that. But this is what they promote, and it's published. And so you go, well, how come my doctor doesn't know that? It's because there's a lot of information out there, and the people selling AREDS 2 are promoting it, and dollars and whatnot. So then a passage of time happens, and we've spoken of this Ocufolin. There's a formula with. So AREDS 2 had 6 things. WAFAX had 3 different things, and the 3 different things are better than the 6 things. And then this eye doctor came up with a formula in 2013 and a different one in 2014, which we've been using for 5 years. And now it's 2021. And in the fall of this year, the AREDS 2 researchers and the WAFAX researchers who did all this and came up with these formulas said, if we were going to come up with a new formula, it would have these 14 things in it. Well, guess what? Guess who has the 14 things? It's the Ocufolin formula, which was made in 13 and 14. So we've been using a formula that has just now been justified and verified by these researchers. And so they haven't done the studies yet on it because they just had this literature review and says, we would take these for all these reasons. And we've been using it for years. And so we're calling it AREDS 3, which is kind of where the next genesis is going to be, because it's just a formula made of stuff. So the person with macular degeneration knows that you take AREDS 2, the disease gets worse regardless, but it slows the rate of change. Sometimes you can get an improvement in there. And in advanced macular degeneration, your future holds get needles injected deep into your eye with drugs on a near monthly basis. So it's pretty austere.
What are my signs that macular degeneration may be coming on? Central
vision is poor, so you don't see as well because it affects the most important part of the back of the eye, the macula. And I talk about the dartboard. You have the little red bullseye. The macula is the bullseye, and there's a center of the bullseye, the very, very center, which is a fovea. And if you booger that up, then you lose vision, best corrected vision. So
is macular degeneration treatable with glasses?
No, because the glasses are just changing the way light enters the eye and focuses in the back of the eye. So interestingly, and speaking of this, The good news is that those researchers came up with a new formula. That new formula already exists because somebody thoughtfully said, hey, I'm going to put this, that, and the other together. We've been using it for years. I just had a gentleman in 5 days ago last week, who I have pictures and take pictures of everything. And his retina in 5 months is noticeably better. You can't miss it. You go, wow, that looks better. And that's not true for everybody, but it works for him. And we put a lot of people on that. And then the other big thing is, and instead of the future holding, I'm going to get needles in my eyes, is I'm fortunate to be starting a study pretty soon, and we're collecting patients who have macular degeneration, and we're using BES, which is Bioelectric Signals, okay? BES, Bioelectric Signals. So you can, the radio, the microwave, the sun, light, these are magnetic fields. It's all falls under the heading of bioelectric signals. And we have, and we're repeating a study where we're using these frequencies that you expose the eye to, and you put the eye back in resonance, and it helps heal. It helps the mitochondria, the powerhouses in your cell. We have trillions of these energy makers in our body, and they need stuff. So you put gas in your car so it'll go, and you got to put food in your mouth so you can digest it and then repurpose it and turn it into proteins and take these amino acids and build these things that help you.
Well, what do you say to somebody that comes into your office and doesn't want this kind of treatment?
This is, you have to be willing and lucky. Willing enough to say, hey, I'm interested in this, and lucky enough to fit the criteria, because I know that nobody wants to get needles in their eyes, right?
Oh, and no.
So some of this is all cutting edge, and I'm in Gloucester, Virginia, and it just so happens that my life, my world of doing what I do and knowing who I knew and interacting with who I interact with has placed this in my lap. And we have 4 locations in the country: Utah, Georgia, Kentucky, here. And so we're looking for patients to use these to repeat a study and then improve it, and then use these signals. And this is kind of cool. So if you have a dog whistle and you blow it, dogs come. And if you have everything has a signature signal to it. And if it looks, that signature is similar to a protein that aggregates, that causes stem cells to come. So instead of dog whistle, dogs, stem cells, healing. And there's numerous other signals you can use in proteins. And so when you trick the organ, and this has happened with all parts of the body, and you name the part.
Happen with all types of medicine.
Yeah. The BES and these energies in the eye are being used. You go do a Google Scholar search, and you'll find out that all parts of the body are being fixed and repaired by naturally presenting these frequencies and energies to the body, so it heals. We're doing it with the eyes.
All eye loss is not macular degeneration.
Oh, correct. It's so the macula is a spot in the back of the eye that has. This is what's wrong with macula. This is what causes macular degeneration: poor circulation, and you have poor perfusion, and you have high venous pressure. So I'll unpack that.
So for the most part, somebody who's overweight has a better chance.
White people, it's white person's disease because we're less pigmented, and the pigmentation helps people. So blacks tend not to get macular degeneration because the pigment is protective. And so and the genes, there's all sorts of different genes associated with it, the increased likelihood that you have a problem. But you also activate your genes. You can turn a gene on and turn a gene off by virtue of, are you a smoker? Do you have a toxic exposure load? Then what is your good light, bad light exposure, and your diet. People, I preach it all day long. And again, I'm teaching. I'm not preaching, so I teach it all day long. That you are what you eat. And if you're going to be eating a bunch of processed foods and trans fats and all these things, then welcome your disease. Because back to the 3 things. You want to increase your circulation. And your blood vessels the bigger the blood vessel, the more the blood that goes through. And one of the processes that happens is this release of what's called nitric oxide in your blood, which is a vasodilator. And so you increase the circulation. Then you increase the perfusion. And my quickie on that is you want to get in the good stuff and get out the dead cells. We're constantly turning over cells. And you can think of these bodies in the back of the eye in a form of macular degeneration called drusen as just dead cell trash buildup. And the other thing, yes. And so you get these white lumpy things in the deep retina. And it's there's this buildup of extracellular debris. And then there is, the other thing is venous pressure. My quick one on this, water goes in your house, septic comes out. And if it backs up because of pressure into your house, you got a problem. So if you have high venous pressure, then you're not going to be turning things over and things back up. And these formulas, this is why the AREDS 2, then the WAFAX, and this other formula, it does more to help your mitochondria and to improve your circulation.
So if somebody comes to you with macular degeneration, you're treating it initially, depending on the severity of it, with these treatments.
Yeah, currently, if you have a need for the injections, you're out the door because that's the right thing to do. But most people present with early stages of things. And yeah, so I will sit here and educate people, and I have to find out when someone's curious enough to
What's
listen.
the option if they say they're not interested?
Well, everyone has the same choices: do nothing or do something.
Okay. Yeah, you're
and
right.
then on the do somethings, there's a bunch of different things you can do, and you got to stop stuff, take stuff, and do stuff. And people are, then there's a whole list of things under the stop, take, and do. And so everyone has. There are people who try really hard and don't get results. But most people who try really hard, they have an improvement. And sometimes you're genetically lucky that, hey, wow, this really worked for you, but why didn't it work for somebody else? Well, if one eye get better and the other eye's stable. And so it's still decades and decades of learning still in front of us to understand the complexity of the human body.
Dr. Wilcox is located down at the Point. They're not open today.
No, we are open till pat 2:00.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Then we're scooting.
And again, just a note, just a little side note. If you are somebody who wears glasses and you need a re-exam and new glasses, Dr. Wilcox does that. Depending on your condition, he may offer you suggestions that you can go for or not go for and say, hey, I just want glasses. Whatever it is, Dr. Wilcox is going to help you out. But he does believe, and I talked to another doctor about this yesterday. I had an interview, and I mentioned you, that whether it's an eye problem or a heart problem, the whole body is involved in every problem in one way or another.
Yes.
We forget about that.
Well, it's if you have a fire in the kitchen, the smoke's gonna get in the upstairs bedroom,
and the water's going to come in.
It's so yes, people. We would be a better planet if none of us put anything bad in our mouths, and that's impossible, right?
Yeah.
So we would all be healthier if we did healthy things. Again, we eat too much, too wrong, and too often. And this afternoon, I'll be eating too much, too wrong, and too often. So.
And you're going to be back next Thursday.
Yeah, I will be.
All right.